Hello there guys, good morning. This is Teacher Krishna and welcome to our next class for the 4th unit. Just like you know, this is a class that is part of Big House School and Ninth High School. Our subject is biology and we are working on week number 29 today. So everyone, we'll welcome, then let's start with our ending mind. Students will be able to conduct an investigation about the body of water to create an explanatory YouTube video. Today we're going to be changing things a little bit. And here you have a summary of the activities that you need to complete today. Number 1, read and summarize topic 4.02. And for your summary, we are going to include the same parts as always. Remember date, ending mind, title, the summary itself, and some additional decoration. And this time, please, I need that you upload your summary to Educativa. Okay? Then, number 2, conduct the investigation from page number 7. So in page number 7, you have to download the worksheet, and then they're going to ask you to download, to investigate actually a little bit about a body of water. So complete all of the instructions and steps that you have right there. Then number 3, create an informative YouTube video with the information from your investigation. And what do you do when you finish? Share the link to your video in the assessment for topic 4.02. All right, so those are basically the activities that you need to complete today. Any questions, you can let me know. All right, so today's topic is the biosphere. So basically, the biosphere is a group of living things, but it's a gigantic group, let's say, because it includes all the living things that are living in our planet. So, of course, just like in the picture that you see right here, we can include animals, we can include birds, sea creatures, and plants, etc. And also we can include the interaction that they have with other organisms. So, for example, the way the food chain is going to flow around, okay? So, let's continue. And flora and fauna change depending on the region they are located at. They adapt to the weather and environmental conditions. So let's talk about a monkey, for example. A monkey necessarily needs to live at a location with a lot of vegetation, such as a jungle, or we can talk about a forest. And of course, we cannot find a monkey at a desert, for example. So they need to adapt necessarily to the conditions that they need in order to survive. And life can be so diverse as in a rainforest or so limited as in a desert. So in a rainforest, you're going to find many different species of insects, animals, plants, fish, etc. And because that happens due to the weather that you can find at that specific region and to the vast vegetation that there is. But if you go to a desert, things are going to be totally different because the water bodies and the humidity of the place is way different. There are very few portions of water, as well as very little precipitation. So in a desert, you're mostly going to find reptiles and insects, and very few plants as well. And now, you can download the Biosphere Biology Notebook to keep track of important terms during the lesson. You can find it in page 1 of topic 4.02. And you can actually use this as the summary because in that specific format, you are going to have many documents that are, many terms that are referring to the topic. So while you are watching this video, and of course, while you are reading, you can complete it and then simply paste it in your notebook. So let's continue. Factors of climate. So in very general terms, we're going to find 3 types of climate around the world. The one in red is going to be the tropical climate. The one in sky blue is going to be the temperate climate. And the one in blue is the polar climate. And of course, depending on what region we are located at, then the weather is going to change a lot. Just notice that the map that you see right here is not quite accurate, okay? This is just a general representation, but actually it varies a little bit. And we can also talk about biodiversity. It explains the vast variety of species around the globe. from penguins to lions, and from giraffes to lizards. So biodiversity basically means that there are many kinds of animals and plants around the world. We also have climate. It is the average weather conditions of a location. It includes temperature, sunlight, and precipitation. So Guatemala is located at the temperate zone. So probably you are thinking, no, teacher, but here in the map is located in the tropical zone. Just like I mentioned, this is just a very general representation, but it varies. So Guatemala should be located in the sky blue color. That is represented by the temperate climate. So that basically means that the weather is generally going to be warm, and there is going to be average amounts of precipitation. And of course, you are going to find several species of animals and plants around. We can also talk about the altitude of several locations. So how high a place is. So when we talk about the altitude specifically in Quetzaltenango, we can refer to the location according to how many meters it is located at from the sea level. In Quetzaltenango, we are located at 3,222 meters over the sea level. And the altitude can also change the weather conditions that you can find at a certain place. For example, the temperature that you have here in the central section of the city, it can be around, 13 degrees Celsius. If it is a little bit colder, probably 10 degrees Celsius. But what happens if you actually climb the Santa Maria volcano? As long as I remember, the Santa Maria volcano has an altitude of 3,875 meters. That's just a very general approximation. But of course, you are going to notice that there is like a difference of 500 meters in between both places. So I'm pretty sure that you remember some of the topics that you have received in previous grades. But in the troposphere, the temperature is going to decrease depending on how much distance you are going to go over. So here's a distance of half of a kilometer. So basically the temperature is going to drop, let me remember, like 3.25 degrees. That's just another general approximation. So basically that is the variation that you are going to get between one and another place because of the altitude. And we can also talk about the latitude, a measurement in degrees related to the position of the place from the equator. And just like I mentioned, there are three types of climate, or according to the latitude, of course. We have tropics, which are located from 23.5 degrees north or south. They have very high temperature, and they are located right next to the equator. The temperate zones, they are located between 23.5 and 60 degrees north or south, usually with a warm weather. Just like we mentioned, Guatemala is located at a temperate zone. Then we also have polar circles between 60 and 90 degrees. They are always cold, and they are colored right here in blue, which are the farthest sections from the equator that we can find in our planet. They are always extremely cold. Now we are going to continue talking about wind and precipitation. And here you have another general representation of what winds and precipitation will look like. So around the globe, you are going to have several types of wind, just like the arrows that you can see right here. For example, the southeast trade winds or the northeast trade winds are going to redirect the motion of clouds to certain locations. And in this case, they generally go to the equator. So of course, if they are redirecting more clouds to the equator, it's obvious that more precipitation will be generated, or more rain will be generated at those specific places. Wind and precipitation can be affected by wind currents, just like I was telling you before. These currents are caused by convection. So convection is a very important term. Basically, it means that hot air is going to go up and cold air is going to come down. So cold air is going to actually carry water vapor to one of the layers of the atmosphere, In the atmosphere, the water vapor is going to cool down and therefore will be converted into precipitation or rain. The Coriolis effect is the motion of winds around the planet due to the rotation of Earth. So, most of the wind currents are created or generated by convection, but actually the rotation of Earth also influences the creation of winds. And in this case, we are going to call it the Coriolis effect. All right, we are going to continue talking about Earth's biomes. And Earth's biomes are actually vast, and they have many different differences. Just like you can notice, we have a tropical rainforest, such as the ones that we can find in Brazil. And in the rainforest, we're going to find a lot of different species of plants, animals, insects, and much more. And right here, we also have a desert. And just like you notice, the desert is mostly made of sand, and due to the high temperatures and absence of plants, vegetation, and of course, body of waters in general, we are going to find way less life right here. Well, we can also talk about grassland, tundra, freshwater, savanna, marine, temperate forest, and boreal forests. They are all part of Earth's biomes. And of course, they are quite different from each other. So biomes are large areas with the same climate conditions. Plants and animal species. There are 6 major types of biomes. And of course, this information is according to Agilex. We have 6 major types of biomes, which are marine, freshwater, desert, grassland, forest, and tundra. All right. We also have abiotic and biotic factors necessarily need to interact in order to sustain life. So abiotic factors are non-living things such as temperature, water, light, and biotic factors are all plants, bacteria, and animals. The biomes that are closer to the equator have a higher diversity of species, just like the tropical forests that I was mentioning before. Okay, now we're going to go with terrestrial biomes. We have tundra. In this one, we have Arctic and alpine. And in Arctic, let's say that they are located at the North Pole and South Pole. And the ground is mainly frozen, and this is known as permafrost. And there is very little vegetation as well as less common species in there. We also have alpine, which are located at the top of very tall mountains. They rarely have permafrost, but usually they have a very cold climate. We also have deserts. They are defined as any location that receives less than 25 centimeters of rain every year. They are very dry locations with very little types of life as well. Temperate forests, they are forests with a moderate amount of precipitation. The species have adapted to drastic seasonal changes. So we are going to find this type of forest where actually the locations suffer the 4 different seasons. They have winter, summer, which was the other one? Fall, and I don't remember the last one. Just that I'm running out of time for my class. But the thing is that they have the 4 seasons. And of course, the species have adapted pretty well to them. An example can be forests in the United States. We have rainforest, and they are very humid locations with warm temperatures, and they tend to have a dense vegetation. The diversity of species is vast. And we also have a temperate grassland. The precipitation is low, but the soil nutrients are high. As well as the diversity in species, these biomes usually contain a lot of herbivores and carnivores. All right, and here we have an image that actually represents the different biomes that you can find around Earth. Starting from tropical, you have temperate, subarctic, and Arctic. And of course, right here, you have the names of each one of them. And since I'm running out of time, I will leave you with this small summary on the aquatic biomes. You can just take a look at it right here, and of course, take into consideration each one of the definitions that you have. So it's been great seeing you all around, guys. Thank you a lot for coming, and I will see you in a couple of minutes during the live session. Goodbye, everyone, and always take care of yourselves.